it's nice to be out in the woods and out in nature and work on with your hands and get out what you put into it.
Parker Schnabel is not just the guy from Gold Rush anymore. He grew up around mining, learned fast, and started taking big risks while most people his age were still figuring life out. Today, his world looks very different. Not just because of the gold, but because of what the job demands: long seasons, tough calls, and pressure that never really turns off. Along the way came huge wins, real setbacks, and a personal life that fans keep wondering about. And behind all the headlines, there's also the way he actually lives day to day, when the cameras are not right there. Join us as we go back to the beginning and see what Parker's lifestyle looks like now. The Alaskan kid who turned gold into a mission. Parker Schnabel was born on July 22, 1994, in Haines, Alaska, and his story starts long before TV fame. He grew up in a mining family and spent his early years around his grandfather John Schnabel's Big Nugget mine in Porcupine Creek, Alaska. Parker and his brother, Payson, were raised by their parents, Roger and Nancy Schnabel, in a place where mining was not just work, it was part of daily life. He began summer work at Big Nugget when he was still a young child, and by age 5, he was already getting hands-on experience at his grandpa John's mine. Even with that, Parker still saw himself as a pretty typical Alaskan kid. He lived for hunting, and once said, "For about 5 years, our family hardly had to buy any meat. I was pretty proud of that." But as he got older, something shifted. He said it was no longer deer and bears and moose that drove him. It was something more mysterious and compelling. It was gold. By around 15, while helping run Big Nugget, a TV crew came to scout him. Once they started filming, they did not want to stop, and he was described as naturally good on camera. He was still a teenager, but already living a life that stood out. And soon, the world would start watching. The teen who took over Big Nugget. Parker joined the series at 16 when he took over his grandfather's mining business, and from there, his journey was shown year after year. The show itself, first called Gold Rush, Alaska in Season 1, followed family-run placer gold mining efforts and later focused heavily on Alaska and the Klondike region near Dawson City, Yukon, Canada. In Season 2, after the show name became Gold Rush, Parker's attempts to mine at Big Nugget became a real part of the series. He was young, but he was already trying to prove he could run a mine. In that season, the Schnabel crew at Big Nugget recovered 34 ounces of gold, listed at about $55,000. In Season 3, Parker returned to Big Nugget with bigger and more efficient equipment, and his results improved again, with Parker and Dakota Fred each mining over $250,000 worth of gold. This period matters because it shows how fast he learned. He was not just the kid on TV anymore. He was becoming a serious mine boss, and the next move would push him into a much bigger league. The Klondike move that changed everything. At 18, Parker left home and moved up to the Klondike, where he leased ground from Tony Beats, a legendary miner and one of the most successful operators in the Klondike. This was a major step because it meant he had outgrown Big Nugget and was ready to mine on a larger scale. By Season 4, Parker was mining new land at Scribner Creek in the Yukon with Tony as his mentor and claim owner. This is also where viewers really started seeing the pressure he worked under. Chasing every nugget, dealing with tough decisions, and trying to pay a percentage of his take while building his own operation. The results were huge. In Season 4, Parker's crew mined 836 ounces. Then he stayed longer and added 193 more ounces, bringing his total to 1,029 ounces and a haul of about $1.4 million. That broke Todd Hoffman's single-season record, and even passed Hoffman's total over 4 seasons. Then he kept going. In Season 5, he mined 2,538 ounces, worth just under $3 million. In Season 6, he managed 3,372 ounces, worth almost $3.5 million. By Season 7, Parker and his crew finished with just over 4,300 ounces, worth more than $5 million. By Season 8, his crew hit 6,280 ounces in the Yukon, worth about $7.5 million. But through all those big seasons and bigger goals, one person kept Parker grounded: his grandpa John, the mentor behind Parker's drive. One of the most important parts of Parker's story is John Schnabel. On the show, John was not just a family member who visited. He was a mining legend, a guide, and a calming force in Parker's life. People often saw Parker as intense, tough, and sometimes hard on his crew. But when John came around, there was a different side. In those moments, it became clear that mining was not only about pulling gold from the ground. It was also about people, machines, land, weather, and how everything must work together. John's influence showed Parker that being a miner meant more than production numbers. John himself had a big life in Haines. He ran a sawmill, was elected mayor several times, and helped build the town's Main Street. He was known as someone who took on challenges and pushed through them. Even in his final years, while battling cancer and going through chemotherapy, he kept showing up for one more day, one more moment, one more pearl of wisdom. John passed away in March 2016 at age 96, after reportedly dying in his sleep. His family called him a true legend, and his grandson Peter wrote that he was one of a kind. That loss was deeply personal for Parker, and it left a mark on how fans saw him from then on. The show, the crew, and the pressure behind the success. As Gold Rush grew, so did Parker's role in it. The show became a huge hit, and for a time it was one of the most watched Friday night programs in the U.S. in key demographics. Discovery also saw strong rankings, with Gold Rush leading the way. Parker was not just mining anymore. He was also one of the biggest faces on a major reality series. And even though he saw himself as a typical Alaskan kid when he was growing up, the years that followed show how fast he became a central figure in both. A big part of that success came from his team. Chris Dumit, who first came to Alaska to help build a cabin, stayed and later became a key member of Parker's crew from Season 4 onward, calling himself a pumpologist. Greg Remsburg also returned to work with Parker in Season 4 in the Klondike. Rick Ness became Parker's right-hand man from Season 2 to Season 8, before leaving to run his own operation. Mitch Blaschke joined in Season 5 and helped keep the wash plants in top shape. Gene Cheeseman worked with Parker in Seasons 4 and 5, and was known for strong mechanic and operation skills, even becoming site foreman at Scribner Creek. Brennan Ruolt later joined after Parker's team reached out to him, and his heavy machinery experience became valuable. All of this shows something simple but important. Parker's results were not just about being on TV. They came from building a strong crew under real pressure, and that pressure followed him off the claim too. The personal side people ask about. As Parker's mining wins and TV fame grew, people became more curious about his life off the camera too. He became known not only for his mining skills, but also for his personal life, which drew a lot of attention from fans and media. During his teenage years, he had some crushes and early relationships, but those stayed low-key and did not attract much public attention. The relationship many viewers remember most is with Ashley Yule, an Australian animal nurse he met in Australia in 2016. They connected quickly, and Ashley later joined the cast in Season 7 after Parker invited her to spend the summer in the Klondike. She became an active part of Parker's crew and helped with the mining work, and Parker spoke positively about her contribution. But the relationship ended, and in Season 8, Parker shared that they had broken up. He took responsibility and said he had not made the relationship a priority, and he felt Ashley could do better and deserved someone who would put her first. Ashley later returned to Australia, spent time with family and friends, and shared on social media that she had gone back to dancing. And this is exactly where the next part of the story gets even more revealing. Because the reason people react so strongly to Parker today is tied to what those years really demanded from him. Record seasons and higher stakes. Season 9 of Gold Rush debuted on October 11, 2018, and it opened with an episode called The Story So Far. This season followed 3 big storylines at once. Rick Ness running his own operation for the first time, Parker Schnabel pushing his own crew harder than ever, and Tony Beets working with his family. The season was planned for 20 episodes, ending in March 2019, and Parker set a massive goal at Scribner Creek. He did not just hit it, he passed it. Parker's crew mined 7,427.25 ounces, worth nearly $9 million. And that number alone explains why people look at his life now and go, wait, how does someone even live after seasons like that? Rick Ness also hit his mark, mining 1,105 ounces, worth $1.3 million, and beating his 1,000-ounce goal, while Tony Beets came up short of his 6,000-ounce target, ending just under 4,400 ounces. Then Season 10 premiered on October 11, 2019, and ran until March 6, 2020. Parker ended the season 204 ounces short of his previous record year, but he still mined 7,223 ounces. And because he was mostly mining his own ground and paying far less in royalties, he actually made over $1 million more than Season 9. With rising gold prices, his haul was worth $10.8 million. Rick Ness had a rough year after moving to Duncan Creek above Keno City, hitting permafrost and struggling to find gold-rich pockets to feed his wash plant Monster Red, which he bought for $500,000. He ended with 547 ounces and barely broke even. Tony had to leave Eureka and Indian River after water lease expirations, moved to Paradise Hill, and finished with 2,259 ounces. And just when the show looked like it could not get more intense, the world changed, and the next season had to deal with it. How Parker got back to the Yukon when travel shut down. Season 11 became a different kind of story because filming for the 2020 mining season was affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Miners were considered essential workers by the Yukon government, but the film crews were not part of that decision. At the start of the season, Canada was on travel lockdown, and production crews from Raw TV were stuck in Britain. When mining began, only one filming crew member was on site with the Beets, and Monica Beets took on extra filming duties too. Neither the Schnabel crew nor the Ness crew were on site at the start, because they were at home in quarantine, mostly in the U.S. For the new season, Parker successfully crossed the border from Alaska and quarantined for 2 weeks in Whitehorse, Yukon, Canada. The Beets quarantined for 2 weeks at their mine site and planned to keep it locked down for the season. After that 2-week quarantine, a local film crew of 4 came to film the Beets. Rick Ness quarantined while driving from Wisconsin to the Yukon, using an extended fuel tank and limiting contact while on the road. Season 11 premiered on October 23, 2020, and a new crew also joined the show, led by Special Forces medic Fred Lewis. It is the kind of season that makes you realize Parker's life is not just about money or TV. It is also about problem-solving under pressure, even when the outside world is shutting down. And once that chaos settled, the show moved forward again. But Parker's world kept getting bigger. More ground to mine and more problems to solve. Gold Rush Season 12 began airing on September 24, 2021, starting with Ground War on Discovery Channel. It focused on the mining crews of Parker Schnabel, Tony Beets, Rick Ness, and Fred Lewis, and later Fred joined forces with the neighboring Clayton brothers toward the end of the season. Then Season 13 began broadcast on September 30, 2022, starting with a seismic shift. This season again focused on Parker, Tony, Fred Lewis, and the Clayton brothers, with Parker working across Alaska and Yukon sites. It also included cameos from Dave Turin's mine as he retired from mining. Rick Ness chose not to mine and was only shown briefly at the start to explain why he was not there. The key thing here is the pace. Season after season, the mining does not slow down for Parker. The locations shift, the teams change, and the challenges keep stacking up. And if you think that is already a full life, there is another side to Parker's story that makes his world look even more intense, because when the main season ends, he does not exactly sit still. Parker's trail and the off-season that was still work. Starting back in 2017, Parker's Trail became its own set of episodes, following Parker Schnabel on trips to other parts of the world. In 2017, it was a 5-part series where Parker and his crew tried to follow the Klondike Trail. In 2018, it became a 7-episode run where they flew, hiked, and boated through Guyana and tried mining at stops along the way. In 2019, it turned into a 10-episode journey through Papua New Guinea, with the crew sailing, flying, hiking, and driving while attempting to mine at different stops. In 2020, it was another 10-episode series that debuted on March 13th, where Parker and his crew drove through Australia and stopped to mine in Victoria, Queensland, and Western Australia. In 2022, another 10-episode season debuted on June 13th, with Parker and his crew investigating placer operations in New Zealand's South Island, in the West Coast, and Otago regions, focusing on the distinctive Kiwi wash plants. After visiting those mine sites, Parker decided to build his own wash plant, with help from gold recovery engineer and builder Jeff Turnell from British Columbia, Canada. For the Australia and New Zealand seasons, Parker was joined by Australian female gold miner Tyler Mahoney, who had appeared in Aussie Gold Hunters, a show similar to Gold Rush. This is where the bigger picture gets even more real, because it shows Parker's life is not only the mine site back home, it is also travel, risk, and constant movement. And once you hear what it actually costs to mine at his level, the picture gets even clearer. The real cost of Parker's life: big money, tight choices, real danger. In 2019, Parker explained why gold mining is not as glamorous as it looks. To get 1 ounce of gold worth around $1,500, he said you have to dig up enough dirt to fill roughly half of an Olympic-sized swimming pool. He also said he spends $2 million on fuel alone, and because the season is short that far north, every day matters. He put it plainly: to make money, you need to make a string of good decisions day in and day out, but a couple of bad ones might finish you. Parker also admitted the gold is not the main thrill for him. It's just something I sell so that I can keep mining. Even with success, Parker is known for staying frugal. One detail says that by age 27 in 2021, his net worth had reached $10 million, but he still preferred putting money back into equipment and other business moves. He also shut down a mansion rumor in a tweet exchange dated March 8, 2018, saying he did not own a house anywhere, called himself homeless, and labeled the rumor BS. In a Maxim interview, he said his earnings would go back into the ground through new equipment, adding that he did not own a boat, a fancy car, or an elegant house. Instead, he joked that he has a giant, expensive sandbox, meaning the Scribner Creek mine. And the risk is not only financial. In Guyana, Parker came close to serious injury and possible drowning when a boat the crew was hauling up slippery rocks nearly reached a 20-foot waterfall. They lost grip on the rope, the boat started filling with water, and Parker fell into the turbulent water. Body cam footage showed him trying to get out, but he resurfaced quickly and was not hurt. That is the real cost behind the life people react to. So yes, the life looks big, but the reality is heavy. And the best way to understand it is to let Parker explain how he handles the stress, the cameras, and the danger. Parker explains the stress, the cameras, and why he keeps going. In a 2019 interview, Parker was described as a miner who had found gold worth $7 million the year before, and who had made $20 million since he started young, around age 15, helping run his grandfather's small operation. Looking back, Parker said, "Yeah, we were on there a little bit, right? It's been a very long, interesting time, that's for sure." He explained that starting out young was not too hard, because he truly enjoyed it. In the early years, he said he had a lot of fun doing the show and learning how to mine, even though it was also a struggle. What made it harder, according to Parker, was doing the business with cameras around all the time. He said it is tough because your mistakes are right there in the spotlight. When asked about how dangerous the job can be, he said, "For sure," but added they usually get through it, and usually you're stronger for it. He also shared one surprising thing they have dug up: mammoth tusks preserved in the permafrost. He said he usually keeps them because they are so cool. When it comes to stress, Parker said he gets so focused on working that it does not bother him too much. But when he needs to let off steam, he rides his dirt bike. "I love riding my bike," he said. He also explained what he thinks keeps him successful. He said a big part is not getting complacent and always trying to find the next thing or the next person that can make the business run better and smarter. For a personal highlight, he said the first time he went out to Dawson was special because of the mining community there, even admitting that 7 years later, he still feels like an outsider sometimes. He also said he is not sure why Gold Rush stayed so popular, but he thinks it has the right mix of hard work, uncertainty, risk, and reward. And when asked about his future, he kept it honest. He said he has no idea if he will do this forever. He takes it as it comes and will keep going as long as he can make money and still enjoy it. His simplest lesson was this: gold mining, like most things in life, you get out of it what you put in. New seasons, new stakes, Parker keeps leveling up. Gold Rush did not slow down after the earlier record years. Season 14 began airing on September 29, 2023, with an episode titled The $160 Million Gamble, and it followed the mining crews of Parker Schnabel, Tony Beets, Rick Ness, and the McCawhons. Then Season 15 started on November 8, 2024, with Greed is Good, focusing again on Parker, Tony, Rick, and Kevin Beets. And by November 7, 2025, Season 16 launched with Records Will Be Broken, keeping Parker in the center of the action, alongside Tony, Rick, and Kevin Beets. Around this same period, Parker was also building his business side beyond just the TV season. In January 2023, news came out about a partnership between Metallic Minerals and Parker's company, Little Flake Mining. Under the agreement, Little Flake would receive exclusive mining rights to 5.5 miles of alluvial gold claims at an Australia Creek property in the Yukon, while Metallic Minerals would receive royalties from any gold mine. Parker spoke about the plan with real confidence, saying, "Our award-winning team looks forward to working with Metallic Minerals, and we plan to hit the ground running on Australia Creek. Planning is underway for a 400-hole drill program this winter on the property, and we anticipate beginning mining operations this spring." It is the kind of deal that shows how much trust people place in him and his crew, even though he is still young. Some even describe him as someone who became one of the richest men in the world before he reached 30. But the bigger the name gets, the more people start wondering what his life looks like when the cameras cut. And that is where the big question really kicks in. The low-key side of Parker people don't expect. Even with all the success, Parker's public image is not all suits and luxury. He is active on Instagram under @GoldRushParker, where he has 455,000 followers. A lot of his posts come off funny, and it gives the sense that he does not take himself too seriously. His photos also show he loves animals, especially his pet dog, Dozer. There are pictures of Dozer, and in one of them, the black dog can even be seen hunting ducks. When it comes to money and lifestyle, the big surprise is how often Parker says he is not into fancy stuff. In a November 2024 interview, he again made it clear he is not out shopping for luxury items. Thinking about his biggest splurge, he said, "I really haven't," and added, "I don't even own a house except for the one on the mine site. I'm living on a friend's couch right now in LA. I'm not living here, but I'm just staying here for a few weeks. I don't really spend much money on physical possessions or things like that." He said he is more about shared moments than objects, calling himself an experience-based person. He talked about taking his dad to a World Series game and said that kind of thing is a splurge to him. He also said if he is going to spend money, it is on trips with friends, and he tries to take the mining crew on a trip every year. He mentioned a big hunting trip one year, and Vegas for 3 days another year. Then he added a line that sounds like classic Parker. "Of course, at work, I'm a very big spender," and joked, "They take the credit card away from me quite often." That mix of big earnings and low-key living is exactly why people do a double take. But the hardest part of his life is not even money. It is how this kind of work affects everything else. Why dating is hard for Parker and why he stays private. In November 2024, Parker explained why dating can be tough with the life he lives. He joked, "I try to explain it in a way that doesn't sound like Mad Max, but admitted it still sounds wild. It's hard to explain that without it sounding like some dystopian, insane world. I'm in the woods, and you're living in a Faubring bunker washing rocks, looking for little shiny rocks." He said that makes dating incredibly difficult because people ask what he does, and it is hard to explain. He also shared that his life mostly revolves around work, but he hopes to have a family one day. "I do hope to have a family and a life outside of TV eventually," and he suggested the show might be over before he has kids. He said he looks forward to the next chapter and does not see his best days as being behind him. He pointed to his dad starting another business at 69 and living his best life, and said his grandpa did not start gold mining until 65, ending with, "Age is absolutely just a number." Around the same time, Parker said he is choosing more privacy now. "I'm probably just going to keep my personal life private," because he thinks it is better to keep it out of the media and the show. He also said he cares less about assumptions people make from TV, because the people he cares about know him through real life. Then, in early 2026, Season 16 showed how intense the pressure can get. Parker was aiming for a 10,000-ounce season goal worth $35 million or more while running 4 wash plants, dealing with frozen ground, equipment problems, and crew stress. In January 2026, one breakdown showed how fast things can turn. With Mitch Blaschke away, acting foreman Brennan Rouault had to keep things moving when the shaker deck on Roxanne broke. Mechanics found a hole in the cylinder and had to pull off a tight repair with one shot in a 15 to 20-second window to avoid weeks of downtime. They made it work, but the weigh-in showed the swing. Roxanne hit 49.60 ounces, while Bob brought 147.05 ounces, and Slucifer plus Big Red added 232.05 ounces, totaling just over $1.5 million for the week. They passed the halfway mark, but it proved his success leaves almost no room for mistakes. So now I want to ask you 2 things. What do you think is the hardest part of Parker Schnabel's life right now? The pressure, the risk, or having cameras around all the time? And if you had his kind of success, would you spend on luxury, or would you keep it simple and put most of it back into the work like Parker does? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.